Welcome everyone to season 4 of the MudRoom. How is everyone today? I am so excited to be back. I really enjoyed my break, but it's time to get back into the swing of things. I've still got kids at home, and my youngest was up at 4 a.m. with a sore stomach, so while I've sent them off to play and I've read them the riot act about being quiet, you're probably going to hear kids in the background. And today I might be yawning a bit, so sorry in advance. We're still in a pandemic and they're still not in school. And that's where we're starting today. School, preschool, virtual daycare, which I didn't know was a thing until a client asked me about it last week. Before we get into it though, if we haven't met yet, allow me to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Allana Robinson. I'm a parenting coach for parents of toddlers, preschoolers, and kindergartners, and I help you understand why your children are misbehaving and how to fix it without yelling, shaming, or timeouts. I'm your host here on the MudRoom. I'm also the host of the Parenting Posse Facebook group, and I'm the creator of the Parentability program, where I help you raise confident, calm, competent kids of your own. If you're here, please say hi. Let me know how your holidays went. I would love to know. If you're catching a replay, drop a replay in the comments. No matter what platform you're accessing this on, please do me a solid and like and subscribe. It really helps us out with those algorithms, especially as we get going after having taken a bit of a break. Okay, so I wanted to start by sharing a tweet that really hit recently. If you're not aware of Woke Kindergarten, I highly recommend you check it out on YouTube. It's an amazing resource for anti-racism and diversity and inclusion resources that are designed for the early learning set. And Key, who is the creator and teacher of Woke Kindergarten, can't get my mouth around that for some reason today, she tweeted this: "Teaching is not synonymous with school. School is an institution. Teaching, real teaching, is spirit-led. It cannot be confined to institutions. Education is sacred. Schooling isn't. Credentials don't make us teachers. Spirit does." And I am seeing this come up all over the internet, where parents are terrified of their child being behind in school or worried that they aren't learning well at home. And y'all, I want to assure you that your child is always learning and you are always teaching. Learning is not confined to school. Your child does not have to be enrolled in preschool or kindergarten or daycare. It's not like you flip a switch when you walk into a building that's been designated as a school, and when you leave, your ability to learn just goes out the damn window. And because Uncommon Sense Parenting is focused on kids 2 to 6 years old, I want to assure you that your child cannot be behind if you are engaging them in daily life. I am going to say it louder for the people in the back. If your young child is at home with you, they cannot be behind. It doesn't exist. There is so much research that shows that children who are introduced to academics before the age of 7 start hating academics at age 7. That's grade 1 in most of the Western world. And these studies, not just one study, multiple long-term studies, show that children who aren't introduced to academics until age 7 are actually ahead of their peers academically clear through to grade 6. And they enjoy learning and they find it fun. The kids doing academics before grade 1 hate it. They resist it. And as a consequence, they fall behind their peers. Add to that at some point, generally around the end of high school, we stop expecting everybody to know the same stuff. So even the concept of behind is relative. We're a global society now, and nothing has proven that more than COVID. And my kids here in Ontario, Canada, are not learning the same stuff at the same time as your kid in Australia, or your kid in the UK, or your kid in the southern United States, or your kid in Japan, or Singapore, or South Africa, or Turkey, or Hong Kong, or anywhere else. So even for those of us with school-aged kids, it is never too late to catch up to whatever arbitrary standard you're measuring against. And I don't know about you, but personally, I've had a very successful career. I own a home, I have 2 beautiful children, and not once have I ever been asked for any of my elementary school report cards. Not once have I been asked at what age I started to count or do my ABCs or start to read, because it doesn't matter. I know it feels really huge now, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, as long as they learn it eventually. I'm going to repeat that. It is impossible to be behind between the ages of 2 to 6 years old. But if you introduce your children to academics between 2 to 6 years old, they're not going to be ahead. This gold star of being able to read at age 4 means absolutely nothing when they refuse to read for pleasure at age 12, when they hate school in grade 1. That means that it's okay to hang out with your 4-year-old or your 3-year-old or your 2-year-old at home and just chill and read and play. It's not only okay, it's recommended. It's how children learn best. It's recommended that if you do require childcare, which, a lot of us do, that you put your child in a setting that is play-focused, play-centered, not academic. And you can't be behind in play. You cannot. It doesn't exist. Everything is novel to a young child. I know it's old to our crusty old butts, but it's all new to them. Even the boring stuff they see every day. They've only been seeing it for 2 to 6 years. I've been doing the same thing for 15 years. I've been seeing the same people hanging out in the same places since I was an infant. I'm not bored of them. There's still so many things to explore and do in my home, in my yard, in the town I grew up in. I lived in Alberta for 8 years, and since leaving, I have discovered a laundry list of stuff I wish I'd known about, had time to do, or see when I was there. And I'm in my mid-30s, so it is empirically impossible for a child 2 to 6 years old to be bored with their environment. They might be bored with the way they're being required to interact with their environment, but that's the cool thing about kids. They're always going through new developmental stages that change how they perceive their environment. So on some level, it's always new. And if they're bored with the way that they have to interact with it, well then that's within our power to change. It's also not actually a problem if your children are bored at home. It's actually a beautiful gift that you can give them. Boredom is incredibly powerful. That, however, is a whole other topic that I'm not going to get into right now, but I am buzzing with ideas about it, so I'm going to put some notes down for that, and we'll circle back to it in about a week or two. But for now, boredom is important, and our kids don't get enough of it because we have all these built-in ways for entertaining ourselves now. And that boredom deficit is showing up in a lot of unexpected ways, and the research is still uncovering them. This is all to say, if you're like here, and you've been forced back into virtual learning and it's not serving you or your kids, and you have kids aged 2 to 6 years old, please stop. Just stop, say no, it's okay. The children are going to be great. They are going to thrive, and we have to stop putting our adult emotions and perceptions of the environment and expectations on them. They cannot be behind at 2 to 6 years old. They can't. You are teaching them every waking moment. What we need to be paying attention to is what you are teaching them, and if it's something that actually serves them. Are we teaching them to zone out and be obedient zombies? Or are we teaching them to listen to their bodies and stop when they hit a limit, to think critically? Are you giving them space to be creative and silly? Or are we teaching them that all that matters is their ass in the chair and their face pointed towards a camera? Are we teaching them how to interact with other people? Or are we indoctrinating our 4-year-olds into Zoom culture? Are we teaching our children that acting like an adult is the standard that they're going to be measured against even as a child? Or are we teaching them to enjoy their childhood and the freedom that they have within it? Your child does not need to be in school to learn, and you, in all of your adult wisdom, are more than equipped to teach your young child everything they need to know to be successful as a youth. I promise. So deep, cleansing breath. If you needed the permission, there it is. If you want to stop this train from hitting you, we're at the station. It's time to hop off the tracks. And the first thing that you should be teaching your kids is how to be competent, how to stay calm, and how to be confident. I don't know about your local curriculum, but those don't feature in ours. Those are what kids 2 to 6 years old really need. And I happen to have these handy dandy scripts that I can help you get started with that with. They're free. You can grab them in the description, and they are your first step. They're step 1. All right? So let's all take a nice big belly breath in and let it out. Give it a couple more counts. 2, 1. And I'm going to release you to the rest of your day. Okay? It's going to be okay. What is really important for our kids is that they feel safe, that they feel loved, and that they don't feel stress. Okay? Toxic stress can have some really damaging long-term effects. And if this isn't serving you, if this is causing stress, all this virtual crap, you are completely within your right as a parent to say, no, thank you. And just focus on nurturing your child at home. So thank you so much for being here with me for the first 2021 episode of the MudRoom. I will see you next week for another Uncommon Sense Parenting class. Bye.